Robert Williams from MetalRules.com, and joining me tonight in Austin, Texas is the one and only Max Cavalera, vocalist for Cavalera Conspiracy. How you doing today, Max?
Good. What's up, man?
Musicians like yourselves who have years and years of experience both in the studio and touring abroad, what do you find to be the most challenging aspect of creating a thrasher piece like Blunt Force Trauma?
I think the hardest part of making a record like Blunt Force Trauma is to actually to combine the fast stuff with the groove stuff in a way that keeps the album interesting and doesn't become a repetition, and it doesn't become like you're trying to do something that was already done before, because we're using a formula of music based on thrash metal and death metal, but we don't want to sound like it's just a remake. You know, it had to sound like it's new, like it's done right now with a new sound. So it's a little bit tricky to do that, but I think we did a pretty cool job, and I'm pretty proud of Blunt Force Trauma, how it has both sides, has the fast stuff, the thrash stuff, and has the groovy stuff, and then put them together. It really works as a whole. Like when you listen to the whole record as a whole, I think it becomes interesting, and you don't get tired of the album when you listen to it.
Yeah, I think you're right, and a lot of people have been saying, you know, the longest track on Blunt Force Trauma still clocks in at well under 5 minutes. Was that a conscious decision to approach this new record with the heavier, faster, louder mindset?
Yeah, it was a totally conscious decision. We wanted to make shorter tracks without filler up, just right to the point, really basic, really primal, and kind of stripped to the bone to a metal song, which what the metal song is, it's right here. You don't need anything else. This is what it needs. And we went right to the message, right to the, with no bullshit, just right there, exactly, direct to the point. And the album ended up being shorter too, which I think is something that's interesting, because this people's span of attention these days is shorter than what it used to be in the past, and people cannot stay with an album. If the album is longer than an hour, people lose interest and they do not hear the whole record. So we tend to make shorter records, like we did in Arise or Slayer Raining Blood, which are shorter albums but with more on it. So it's kind of like the less is more formula. That kind of work, you know, for this kind of music. You know, it really is like that. So when you listen to the record, you get to hear the whole thing, and you get to the end and you want more, and you put it back on the beginning and listen to it again, which is what we wanted people to do, you know.
So Max, on the new album you got songs about legendary warlords, a tune about a clairvoyant, you got a token thrash anthem, another song deals with the false prophet lunatic David Koresh. Really a pretty diverse range of subject matter. How do you approach writing your lyrics? Did you have to do a lot of reading and researching before putting pen to paper? How does that work?
Just try to get new ideas. You know, the lyrics are pretty much a reflection of the music. So the music on the album is really what is giving the lyrics the direction. So that's why it's a lot of brutal stuff and a lot of powerful stuff like David Koresh and Genghis Khan and Rasputin and Warlord and that kind of, you know, lynch mob kind of lyrics, which are really powerful, very aggressive, very violent, because it's a reflection of the music, you know. So I think what determines the lyrics in the end of the day is the music of Blunt Force Trauma, which was written first. So the music inspired the lyrics. And when I hear the music of Blunt Force Trauma, I went out and looked for subjects and stuff that I thought would be, you know, equivalent, so you can fit the music. So that's when I found, you know, inspiration in stuff like Genghis Khan and Rasputin and David Koresh and all that.
Let's talk about the bonus tracks for the vinyl edition of Blunt Force Trauma. You guys recorded Electric Funeral by the Mighty Black Sabbath, and I'm curious as to why you chose that song, but you also recorded Six Pack by Black Flag, which brings me to my next question, which would be, what is Max Cavalera's favorite six-pack of beer?
Actually, I don't drink beer, man. Which is ironic because I cover a song that's about beer.
Just a huge Black Flag fan.
Just
huh?
a black. I love the song. I love the fact the song is about getting fucked up, which when I don't drink anymore. But when I used to drink, I drink wine and rum and vodka and whiskey and everything except beer. I just never liked beer. I don't know why. I like the harder stuff, the heavier shit.
Yeah.
Whiskey and vodka, and go right to the hardcore shit.
I like all those things. So looking back at your track record and classic records from bands like Sepultura, Nail Bomb, Soulfly, and Cavalera Conspiracy, as an artist, are you ever able to take a step back and analyze and maybe pick a song or a record in particular and say, I think this is my best work, this defines who I am? You got to that point yet?
No, I don't really do that much. I don't really look at the past that much even. I kind of like to think there's more to come. There's always new work to be done, and there's something always in front of me. There's always a challenge, a new album to be made, and new work to be done. And I don't really leave. I'm not a guy that leave from the past. I know there's a great, awesome amount of record like Roots and Beneath the Remains and Arise and Nail Bomb and Soulfly, and they're all really cool records that were part of my life. But I don't really live for the past. I live for the present and the future. So right now I'm really thinking of the next Soulfly. What I'm gonna do for that record, which comes out next year. So I'm always into the future.
So this past March, Cavalera Conspiracy had the honor of performing as direct support for British heavy metal legends Iron Maiden in front of a sold-out audience in Sao Paulo, Brazil. That must have been a huge moment for you guys. How did it all go down?
It was great, man. It was a real nice soccer stadium. I actually saw Queen there for the first time. I was a teenager, so it was great to be playing at the same place that Queen played. Iron Maiden treated us really good. They wanted us on that show. They specifically requested. There was Cavalera that opened that show. It was a request that came from them. Their crew were real nice and really help us in all the aspects during the day of the show. And we had a great show. The people really loved the new stuff. We played some of the stuff from Blunt Force Trauma, and we played some old favorites from Inflicted and some Sepultura stuff, and it was a great show. I really enjoyed it. There was a lot of people there, a lot of Iron Maiden shirts. Like everybody pretty much had an Iron Maiden shirt on. I never saw so many Iron Maiden shirts in my life. But it was a great show. The people really liked us.
So in late April, you guys were left with no choice but to perform a concert without Igor behind the drum kit. And in the end, you were able to utilize Greg Hall of Sacred Reich to fill in on the drums at the last minute. What was that experience like?
That was stressful, man, because Igor just called us and told us he could not make for the first show. He was held up in London with a visa problem. And we didn't want to cancel the show, but at the same time, what are we going to do? We need somebody that can play. And I thought about Greg, was the only guy I thought I could call in that short notice. And I asked Greg, do you know the Cavalera stuff, He says, I know the first album perfect. I can play everything from the first record. The new album, I just got it. I'm listening to it right now, and I think I can play it. If you guys get me a sound check, I can probably do it. So we went with Greg and decided to do with him, and with the help of Igor's roadie, Guilherme, that plays some Sepultura tracks, and my two kids that play some Sepultura stuff too, Zion and Igor, and Greg. We made it happen, so it was a contribution of many people, pulling all together. It was the House of Blues first show in LA, and it was packed, and I did not know what to expect, not having Igor there. It was nerve-wracking, but it was a good show, and Greg did great. He really knew the Cavalera stuff and performed them great, so we had a good show in the end.